On July 30th, 1945, the USS Indianapolis disappeared beneath the Pacific waves in just 12 minutes. What followed was 5 days of unimaginable horror. Over 800 American sailors floated helplessly in shark-infested waters while the United States Navy didn't even know they were missing. By the time rescue arrived, only 316 men remained alive. This is the story of the worst naval disaster in U.S. history and the cover-up that followed. The USS Indianapolis had just completed the most secret mission of World War II. On July 16, 1945, Captain Charles Butler McVeigh III received classified orders to transport components of Little Boy, the atomic bomb destined for Hiroshima. The ship departed San Francisco with 1,196 men aboard, racing across 5,000 miles of Pacific Ocean in just 10 days. On July 26th, the cargo was unloaded at Tinian Island. Little Boy would be dropped on Hiroshima 10 days later, ending the war. But for the Indianapolis crew, their nightmare was just beginning. After departing Guam on July 28th, Captain McVeigh requested a destroyer escort for the voyage to the Philippines. His request was denied. Intelligence reports indicated the waters were safe. What the Navy didn't tell McVeigh was that Japanese submarine, the I-58, commanded by Lieutenant Commander Mochitsura Hashimoto, was actively hunting in those exact waters. Just after midnight on July 30th, Hashimoto spotted the Indianapolis silhouetted against the moonlit horizon. At 12:05 a.m., he fired 6 torpedoes. 2 struck the starboard side. The first ignited aviation fuel, creating a massive fireball that vaporized the forward section. The second destroyed the engine room, cutting all power and communications. 300 men died instantly. Captain McVeigh gave the order to abandon ship, but without power, most of the crew never received it. 12 minutes after the attack, the Indianapolis sank into 3.5 miles of ocean. Approximately 900 men made it into the water, most covered in fuel oil, many injured or burned. And they were completely alone, with no one knowing they were there. As dawn broke, the survivors faced their first enemies: thirst, sun, and hypothermia. Despite being surrounded by water, they had almost nothing to drink. The tropical sun beat down mercilessly. Men with fuel oil on their skin suffered chemical burns. At night, the 85-degree water caused hypothermia. Within hours, hallucinations began. Some men believed they could see the ship beneath them and removed their life jackets to dive down, never to resurface. But the worst enemy was the sharks. The waters around the Philippines teemed with oceanic white tips, tiger sharks, and bull sharks. The explosion, the blood, the thrashing of 900 men created a feeding frenzy. Survivor Woody James recalled, "You'd hear guys scream, especially late in the afternoon. Sharks would be around, hundreds of them. Everything would be quiet, and then you'd hear somebody scream, and you knew a shark had got him." The sharks attacked from below. Striking with such force, they'd lift men out of the water. Survivors watched helplessly as shipmates were dragged under, the water turning red. The sharks learned to attack at dawn and dusk. Men huddled together in terror, knowing what was coming. Marine Giles McCoy testified, "The worst part was watching the sharks circle. You'd see the fin, then it would disappear underwater, and you wouldn't know where it was. That's when somebody would scream." By day 3, men were dying not just from sharks, but from madness and despair. They would simply slip out of their life jackets and sink. The most tragic aspect was this: the Navy didn't know the ship was missing. The Indianapolis sank so quickly, no distress signal was sent. 3 stations received fragmentary messages, but dismissed them as equipment malfunction. When the ship didn't arrive at Leyte Gulf on July 31st, no one reported her missing. Naval procedure didn't require reporting non-arrivals of combatant ships. For 4 days, 900 men floated in the Pacific, dying one by one, while the Navy remained unaware. On August 2nd, Lieutenant Wilbur Gwynn, piloting a routine patrol bomber, noticed an oil slick. He descended and saw heads bobbing in the water, dozens of them. He immediately radioed for help. Lieutenant Commander Robert Adrian Marks, piloting a PBY Catalina seaplane, landed on the open ocean against orders. The 12-foot swells made it extremely dangerous, but Marks could see men dying. He crammed 56 survivors into a plane designed for 15. The plane was so overloaded it could never take off again, but Marks kept rescuing men until ships arrived. Throughout the night, rescue ships swept the dark water with searchlights. By the time operations concluded, only 316 men out of 900 were still alive. The Indianapolis disaster claimed 879 lives. The Navy immediately classified everything. Families were told their loved ones died in action, nothing more. Why the secrecy? The Indianapolis had delivered the atomic bomb components. The disaster also revealed catastrophic Navy failures. No escort, ignored distress signals, no one noticing the ship was missing. The Navy needed a scapegoat. Captain McVeigh was court-martialed for failing to zigzag to avoid torpedoes. The Navy even flew Commander Hashimoto, the Japanese officer who sank the ship, to testify. Hashimoto stated zigzagging wouldn't have saved the ship. He would have sunk her regardless. Despite this, McVeigh was convicted. He was the only U.S. Navy captain court-martialed for losing a ship to enemy action during World War II. For years, McVeigh received hate mail from families blaming him. Survivors defended him, but the damage was done. On November 6, 1968, Charles Butler McVeigh III committed suicide. He was 70 years old. The survivors never forgot the injustice. They campaigned for decades to clear McVeigh's name. In the 1990s, sixth grader Hunter Scott researched the disaster for a school project, interviewing nearly 150 survivors. His work generated national attention. In 2000, Congress passed a resolution exonerating Captain McVeigh. President Clinton signed it into law. The Navy officially cleared his record, stating the court-martial was unjust. It was too late for McVeigh, but his name was finally cleared. In August 2017, a research expedition led by Paul Allen located the wreck 18,000 feet below the surface. The ship sits upright, remarkably preserved. The USS Indianapolis is now a protected war grave, and the remains of 300 men who went down with her rest there still. The Indianapolis disaster remains a story of courage and catastrophic failure. The crew delivered the weapon that ended World War II, but paid the ultimate price. Over 800 men fought for survival for 5 days, while the Navy didn't even know they were missing. The survivors showed extraordinary courage, sharing life jackets, fighting sharks, refusing to give up. But courage couldn't overcome institutional failure. The Navy's mistakes turned tragedy into catastrophe, and the cover-up added injustice to disaster. Today, the 316 who lived and the 879 who died are remembered as heroes. The story serves as a permanent reminder. Those who serve deserve better from those who command. The worst naval disaster in American history didn't need to happen, and it must never happen again.